protocol, and it's using frequency. You can see the device right here called the P90 that we're using, and the P90 uses two sets of frequencies. One's called terahertz, and the other better known one is called PEMF, or pulsed electromagnetic frequency. Frequency is incredibly powerful for healing, and it's even used in hospitals. PEMF is FDA approved, and many people are familiar with TENS machines for pain and so on. In this case, the device is very easy to use. You can basically sit with your feet on it, and then you could be using it right now. In fact, guess what? I'm on my P90 right now. I'll show you it in just a few minutes. But you sit, and the frequency comes up through your feet into your whole body. And I get asked a lot, what's the difference between this kind of machine and, for example, a Rife machine or a Spooky or something like that? So there's quite a big difference. So apart from the fact that this is super simple to use, you just turn it on and put your feet on it. Rife machines and certain other frequency devices can be quite complicated. But this is using harmonious frequencies with the body that with intent of healing. A Rife machine is using frequencies designed to kill stuff that you don't want in your body, pathogens, bacteria, and so on. So it's a lot more complicated to use, and it's a little bit more, there's potential for side effects that you might not want, and you have to know what you're going after and what the correct frequencies to use, and so on. Very good machines, extremely useful in certain situations, but much more expensive and more complicated to use, and doing a completely different thing. So they're nothing similar. So I want to talk about the three major things that this frequency does. Both PEMF and terahertz, they have slightly different mechanisms, but they do a lot of the same things. So the three big things that they do is increase oxygen, increase nutrient delivery, and charge the cells. So I'm going to briefly talk about those three things. So one of the main causes of, for example, cancer would be low cellular oxygen. Okay, so when for whatever reason oxygen is limited to a certain part of your body, it's usually regional, then the cells, in order to survive, eventually they have to switch from making energy with oxygen to making energy with sugar, which is a fermentation process. And when they do that switch, because they haven't got oxygen, we call that cancer. So cancer is a direct result of low oxygen in a particular region. However, there's many other problems before we come to cancer. There's many other problems that can occur because of low oxygen. Your cells cannot function as effectively as their oxygen lowers. So increasing the cellular oxygen is something that really helps. And you'll see people, get sick and they're rushed up in an ambulance. They'll often put oxygen masks on them to increase the oxygen. Oxygen is critical to good health, and improving the oxygen that's reaching your cells is going to make a very big difference to a lot of people, depending on what symptoms that you're suffering. Most people understand that one of the big platforms underlying a lot of different health conditions is deficiency. And so there's a couple of reasons that most people are deficient, and one of them is that it's the nutrients aren't in our diet. Another one is to do with toxins, because when you become toxic, it inhibits your body's ability to actually metabolize the nutrients. And part of that toxicity is that the cells get closed down and they're not open to receive the nutrients. So another of the big things that this frequency does is it opens up the cells, it improves the circulation, and improving the circulation, and I'm going to come on to that a little bit more in a minute, but improving the circulation means that that's part of why you get an increase in oxygen, but you also get an increase in delivery of nutrients. So whatever nutrients you're getting in your diet or the supplements you're taking, this is going to improve what you're actually receiving in your cells. And ultimately, if you don't receive it in your cells, it's not doing you any good. So we're going to improve nutrient delivery, we're going to improve oxygen delivery, and both of those things come about by the third one, charging the cellular battery. So people know about deficiencies in nutrients and even water and things like that, but most people aren't aware that we can be deficient in voltage. And voltage, we are electrical beings. Okay, so it's electricity that drives us and does many of the things in our body. And that's why you might see something like this in a hospital. If the heart starts getting into trouble, they literally will get a defibrillator and huge charge into your body. Or you might have seen this where they put ECG or something and they're monitoring what? The electrical things. And they do, there's various devices that they use to do that, because we are electrical beings and you can't fix an electrical problem with chemicals. Many people have seen the blood cells under a high-powered microscope and see them clumping like this. And when they clump like that, and I'm going to get onto just in a second what causes this, but when they clump like that, they can't function properly, and you get a decrease of oxygen, a decrease of nutrients. This is why this affects those things and increases them. Circulation is reduced once you have the blood like this, and so on. So what is it that causes the red blood cells to stack like that? And the answer is voltage or charge, because the red blood cells should be separated like this, in which case the whole surface area is exposed and it can easily flow into even the smallest capillaries and so on. But once you get this kind of thing, it can no longer flow as easily. It's thicker. It doesn't get into the places it should necessarily, and the surface area is much reduced, so it can't carry the oxygen, can't carry the nutrients and so on. So if you can fix this roulage here and turn it like this, you're going to increase oxygen and nutrition, and you're going to increase detox because it's going to flush the cells better. And that's all achieved by raising the voltage, because it's the voltage that keeps the cells separate. Because if you ever try to push two magnets together, positive to positive or negative to negative, there's a pushing away from each other. So each red blood cell is a battery. It has a negative charge and a positive charge. Just like a battery, it has a voltage. When that voltage drops too much, you end up with them sticking together. When the voltage is correct, they push away from each other, and now they can work properly. So just by increasing the voltage, we get all these results of oxygen delivery and nutrition delivery. But also, it's not just charging the red blood cells, but all the cells in the body. And like a battery, because that's what they are, when the battery starts to drop, okay, if you have ever used a mouse, now I've got a wired mouse because I don't like batteries, because I get frustrated when the thing keeps dropping and then you're trying to move the cursor around and it's kind of jerking all over the place because the battery's not fully charged. Well, our cells have a similar problem. As the voltage drops, they stop functioning properly, and so you get various problems. And so charging us up is something that absolutely really helps. Let me show you what the P90 actually looks like physically. So this is the device. It's kind of like a scale. This is in standby mode, but it's kind of like a weighing scale. You just put your feet or your hands, you can put your hands on here as well, put your feet or hands on here, you have one on each side, and the voltage goes around your body, charging the cells as it goes. Now that charging of the cells has a major impact on the body. We read here from this book, PEMF, the fifth element of health. PEMF is one of the two key frequencies of this device. So the pulse energy emitted by the human body is about 3 to 5 times per minute in youth. As you get older, it slows down, okay, but 3 to 5 times a minute. This pulse energy can improve circulation, okay, so all parts of the body can absorb fresh blood. So it's part of this, the energy that's part of this is part of what helps with circulation, among other things. So as we age, the number of pulses our body emits decreases to about 1 per minute, compared to about every 10 minutes in a diabetic. So when you're sick, and diabetes is a good example of a chronic sickness, the energy goes down. And one of the things that you're going to find with all sick people is they have less voltage, they have lower energy. So this voltage thing is really a big deal. So here's a few examples, just a few of many examples of what it helps with. So it helps with cellular energy production, as I've just said, improve circulation and oxygen as a result of that. So it supports detoxification, and that's because the circulation is improved, which helps to flush the toxins out of the cells. And that's why, while this is step 3 of the protocol, it actually overlaps with step 2, which is the detox part. So this helps with the detox, along with what we recommend, which I've got right here, which is a nanozeolite. So that's part of step 2. Not talking about this here, but I just mention it. So it supports detoxification, it improves sleep quality, it reduces pain and inflammation. Inflammation is one of the key factors that results in many of the symptoms that people feel, and it's one of the reasons why the P90 is so effective on so many things, because what you'll find is that inflammation is underlying many of the symptoms. And we also, in part of the protocol, will show that low serotonin or high serotonin is another key factor underlying many symptoms. So between the serotonin imbalance and the inflammation is where most symptoms come from, but they have an underlying cause, and that can be low charge, okay, and it can be and toxicity and some other things. So improves mood and cognition, and supports immune health. So that is some of the key things that PEMF does. Terahertz does all of that as well. We're using, as I say, a slightly different mechanism, a different frequency set, but it does the same thing. And the combination of the two is what's so powerful. So I've been 35 years in natural health. I love frequency things. One of the reasons I like it is once you bought a frequency thing, you can use it typically for years and years and years and years with practically no cost. I like that, but I also like that it's so effective on so many things. And so I've been using frequency for a lot of years now, and I've seen it do many miraculous things. You'll start to see testimonials in the group about each one of the components, what they've done on their own, and when we put them together, it's so much more powerful. But that is what frequency does, and the P90 is to date the very best frequency device I've ever seen in terms of the results. This is called results-driven protocol because it's all about what is the most effective. And I've had clinicians with very expensive frequency devices, $50,000 or more, telling me that they've got nothing that's working better than the humble P90 that we can use at home ourselves. So looking at it very simply, you can think of the P90 like a battery charger for a human. It's like a human battery charger. That's what it does. And a lot of us need that. Some of you might realize that you just don't feel like you're running on full energy, like you feel run down. We even use the same terms as a battery because it is. We're feeling run down. Yeah, that's a low battery. So just to conclude then, I just point out one of the things I mentioned briefly, sleep. When you help sleep, you're also going to help all different kinds of health issues, because the lack of sleep, your body heals most strongly during sleep. And if you're not sleeping properly, it really inhibits the ability to heal. So just the sleep side of it, again, is huge. And what you're going to find is that each component, each of the 5 components, so for example, the ADAPT in step 5, which is a serotonin modulator, massively helps with sleep. So you're going to see some different components affecting some of the same things, improving immune and doing different things with different mechanisms. And that's the combination together is what makes it so powerful. They're all working towards balancing the critical parts of the body that help with healing. So hopefully that's helped clarify what the P90 does for you.